Hey, how can I help you?
I actually have a comic book that I'm interested in selling today. I was wondering if you can take a look at it for me.
Yeah, let me see what you got there. The Amazing Spider-Man, signed by Stan Lee. Spider-Man Goes Mad. I definitely know it's old because it says 12 cents right there.
Okay.
And if I know one thing, it's if you have a comic that costs 12 cents, look it up before you throw it away.
I'm at the pawn shop today to try to sell my Amazing Spider-Man comic. I had this comic book from when I was a kid, and I was just lucky that I got the chance to get this comic signed by Stan Lee. I'm hoping to get $1,200 for the comic book. If I get what I'm asking for, I'm hoping that I can start moving towards my passion of graphic design and hopefully get to draw my own comic books one day.
Sweet. This is an early Spider-Man, and this would have been something that Stan Lee probably had a part in writing. Stan Lee is the creator of Spider-Man, and the cool thing about Spider-Man is that he was a high school kid, and he struggled with the same kind of things that your average high school kids struggle with. You know, he was insecure, he was not sure about himself.
Right.
I really think Spider-Man was made so that your average kid could relate to Spider-Man, they could read this comic, and they could start to feel good about themselves. Well, it's definitely a good one. I mean, besides the fact it's already graded, it's a Stan Lee signature series. I'm not exactly sure what that means, but it's signed by Stan Lee, so this is pretty cool. Let's take a little closer look at it. So yeah, I see a little chip on the corner right there. Maybe would have got just a little bit better of a grade, maybe 0.1 or 2.
Okay.
What are you looking to do with it?
I'm honestly looking to get about $1,200 for it.
Okay, well, it's a really cool comic and it's graded, so it's not gonna be hard to figure out what the comic itself is worth. Stan Lee's autograph, that's a whole nother story.
All right.
I would like to have someone come down, take a look at it, make sure they agree with the grade, and tell me what he thinks this would sell for in his store. We can go from there.
All right, I got time.
Give me just a few minutes, all right?
Thanks. I'm a little worried that the expert might devalue the comic book because it's not a milestone issue or anything, but it is signed by Stan Lee, so I'm feeling like it's got a little bit of juice to it.
Hey, how are we doing today?
Well, it's the Amazing Spider-Man, so I guess my day is amazing as usual.
All right.
It's signed by Stan Lee, so I thought at least it was worth having you come down and taking a look at it.
All right, well, let's take a look. The good thing about this is it is Stan Lee's signature series book.
What exactly is that? Because I've seen those before, but I don't really know what it is.
Well, the CGC have done those signature books for a long time. But a couple of years ago, they actually began doing a signature series specifically for special icons. Of course, Stan's an icon. It's a Stan Lee signature series book. It has his little face and signature on it, emblazoned. And of course, there's an extra charge for that.
So it says 24th of May. Does that mean the 24th issue in May? Or how do I tell the date of this comic book?
All right, so it's Amazing Spider-Man 24, okay? The 565 is May 1965. The date underneath it says signed by Stan on 11/18/2016.
Okay.
So you got the two dates, the signature date and the date that the original book came out.
So how much is it worth?
Well, the good thing is that it's a Stan Lee signature series book. So there's $200 built into this book right away. Then we have to ascertain what is the value above that. The good thing is that most of the hard work's been done. It's been graded. Unfortunately, it's only a 6.5. So 6.5 is a medium grade. In issue 24, there isn't really much going on, I hate to say it. If it was like a Green Goblin or a nice Dr. Octopus, you know, it would have been nice. Now, this book, to have any value, this book would have to be like a 9.0 or a 9.2. So the value of the book, I think on a good day, this is a $500 book.
Well, I appreciate you coming down.
You know, it's always a pleasure.
All right, thank you.
See you later.
Well, you heard what Steve had to say.
Yeah, that's a lot lower than I was expecting, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta go with what he says. I could offer you about 300 for it.
Man, that's real low. You sure you can't do at least like 8?
If it helps out, I could go 350.
You sure you can't do at least like 500?
No, you know, that's what I'm gonna expect to get for it. So I could do 350 and that leaves me a good enough room for profit.
Yeah, I guess I could do 350.
All right, let's go write it up.
All right. Even though I didn't get what I was asking for, at least it's better than slinging it on the web.
Oh, what do we got here?
We have a very rare piece of original comic book art.
Comic book art?
Yep, it's before production, obviously. This is what the artist submits to the comic book.
It looks pretty cool. It's got Batman, Spider-Man, and the Joker.
And the Batmobile. It's very rare because Spider-Man and Batman, those are from two competing companies. We don't typically ever see them in the same comic book.
Okay. Do we got a year by chance?
It was in 1996.
That was right when Batman got bad.
Yeah, that was Val Kilmer.
It's a collaboration between Marvel and DC Comics. The piece doesn't yet have text, so it's unclear exactly what's going on in the piece, but it has a ton of iconic imagery in the comic book world. I'm asking $1,200, and the least that I'm willing to take is $500.
Why do you think Batman would team up with a bum like Spider-Man?
At least Spider-Man actually has some kind of power. Batman just is a rich guy that works out and has cool little toys.
Billion-dollar playboy. That sounds so nice.
I mean, it's definitely cool. Where'd you get it?
I got it on an online auction site probably about 15 years ago.
Okay. So originally, was it a Spider-Man comic or was it a Batman comic?
It was actually a collaboration between both.
Okay, so both companies put out the same comic book?
I believe that is correct.
Okay. It wouldn't surprise me. I mean, during this era, Marvel was broke. DC, on the other hand, had made a lot of money licensing out Batman to Warner Brothers. So for them to do a collaboration like this, it only benefited Marvel, and it might have been some kind of rumor DC was talking about buying Marvel at the time.
Right.
It's definitely rare, and this is kind of during the resurgence of comic books. They had died for a long time, and then all of a sudden, about 2 or 3 years before this, Superman died.
Right.
And, you know, it kind of started a whole new generation of kids buying comic books.
Right, exactly.
Batman and Spider-Man are two of the most iconic superheroes of all time. The fact that both of them cross paths in this comic is super cool. I'm sure there's a lot of fans out there just dying to get their hands on some original artwork. I've never heard of this one. I mean, what are you looking to do with it?
Well, I'm thinking about selling it.
Any idea of what you're looking to get out of it?
I think that $1,200 is a fair price.
1,200? Yeah, buddy, I have no idea, to be honest with you, what the thing's worth. I mean, we got a lot of stuff going on here.
You want me to go call in Johnny?
Nah, man, this is more of like an art thing. Call it Brett.
That's a good idea. Yeah, I'll give Brett a call.
All right, man, hang out. I'll be right back, all right?
Thank you. I'm pretty confident that the piece is authentic, so I believe that it will only increase the value of the piece to have an expert actually look at it.
All right, this is what you called me down here for.
A little different than fine art.
Yeah, we've got, what is this, a vintage comic book rendering?
Yeah, the original art for a collaboration between DC and Marvel Comics.
Okay, yeah, you don't see Batman and Spider-Man teaming up too much. It was a little like the old golden age of Hollywood. You'd have like stars that were under contract with like MGM or Universal, and there's no way they could ever go make a picture for a competing studio.
Exactly.
It was kind of like that with Marvel and DC.
Very
They were
much.
completely autonomous.
Yep.
But yeah, this is pretty cool. Do you know the specifics on this, who the artist was?
Yeah, it was an artist by the name of Mark Bagley, who's known as one of the top 10 Spider-Man artists in the world.
I don't know as much about comic book artists as I do, you know, a lot of fine artists, but I do know that he's very well respected and revered in the comic book art world. And correct me if I'm wrong, I think he worked for both companies for a time.
Correct.
He was the perfect choice. Comic book art has really taken off recently. There's a real interest in superheroes in today's day and age, so people are really into the particular stylings of these various artists. Mark Bagley, it is difficult to find his work out there because most of it is owned by Marvel or DC or the production company he did the work for. So this is kind of an unusual work for me.
So, is it real and what's it worth?
Okay, you know, I'm not an expert on comic books, but I do know the process, and I know this is something that the artist would submit for colorization. And obviously before the copywriters put in the text and all of that, I'm sure there's some kabooms or kapows and things like that. I mean, it's clear that the ink and the blue lines here, the lining has been laid on the paper, and you've got some telltale signs up here in terms of how it was published. You've got all the notations you'd want to see. You know, it's definitely real. I think from a value standpoint, you kind of evaluate it the same way you would a fine art piece, like a painting. You look at it from a quality of composition standpoint. You look for iconic imagery, and this really does have a lot going for it. Obviously, you got two iconic superheroes in Batman and Spider-Man together, which is really unusual. You've got one of the biggest villains of all time in the Joker. I think you've got a one of a kind. So I think to the right collector, you're probably looking $1,500 plus, maybe $2,000.
Okay. Well, Batman, you're the best. Sid.
Hey,
Thank
my
you.
pleasure. Thanks, chum. It is unusual to see an actual production rendering because it was never intended to be actually out on the market. So to have a memento or a keepsake from such a famous partnership is pretty cool.
All right, my man. The guy's telling me $1,500, maybe on a good day, $2,000 out of it. I'd offer you around $800.
800? Don't beat me up that bad. If it's worth 15, maybe 2,000, I think 1,200 is a fair price.
Unfortunately, I'm investing my money in a page out of a Spider-Man Batman comic book and not a really nice mutual fund. I'm gonna put that kind of money out on it. I'm gonna want a good return, and go 900. I want to make a little bit more money than that.
Fair, I'd take 1,000.
All right, man, I'll do 1,000.
Thank you.
Show me, you wanna round 'em up? Yeah. Come on, let's go here.
I think 1,000 is fair. In an ideal market, two serious geeks went at it. Could see it going for more, but I feel it's a fair price.
Hello?
What do we got here?
This is a Maximum Carnage limited edition comic book and video game set, which, of course, is an offshoot of Spider-Man and Venom, exclusively sold on QVC.
Okay, because when you walked in, it looked like a heavy metal album.
I'm looking to sell my limited edition Maximum Carnage set. It's a sealed video game along with a comic book and a couple of pins and a collector's card. This sealed set is super rare because most of them were played with, and I'm hoping to get $14,000 today for my Spider-Man, Venom, Maximum Carnage limited edition set.
This is pretty cool, man. So we got Spider-Man, Venom, Maximum Carnage.
Yes.
You know, when it comes to like the world of Marvel and all this other stuff, once you get past like 1978, I'm not real good at it. But my younger son recently explained the whole Venom thing. So you got Spider-Man, and then his nemesis is Venom, who is like a symbiote or whatever that is supposed to be.
Yep.
Spider-Man and Venom don't like each other.
He becomes a good guy, though, I guess, in the end.
Okay, so what we got here is like, you know, a shopping network back in the day was selling these, and they're like a
Yes.
special edition.
There were two versions of it. One was Super Nintendo and one was Genesis, and they are indistinguishable, so you don't know what you get until you open it.
Okay, so you saying this has an NES or a Sega Genesis cartridge in it,
Super NES, yes.
but you don't know which one it is.
Correct. One of the best parts of this is the mystery behind it. A lot of people have actually gone to the extent of X-raying them.
It doesn't say anywhere in the box which game system it's for.
No.
So where did you get it?
I got it from a collector who was looking to move some of his old items, and I, of course, saw this and was extremely excited.
Okay, so it looks like it's been squashed,
A little, there's a little, it's not perfect condition.
but in the end, I mean, you have something here. The problem is we don't know what you have.
Sure.
And the big question is how much you want for it.
I'm looking for $14,000 for it.
Okay, to tell you the truth, I have no idea. We don't know what's inside.
Right.
Okay, and quite frankly, I don't know if it's been resealed, because I've seen a lot of that lately.
Okay.
So I'm gonna call a guy up. He's the #1 guy in the world on video games. And I'm gonna have him take a look at it.
Sure.
And we're gonna go from there.
Sure.
All right.
Thanks.
All right, I'll be right back. It was just so much simpler when it was just Spider-Man and he had his Spidey sense. I know nothing about this. I've never seen one of these before. I don't know if it's been resealed. He says he doesn't even know which game's inside of it.
Yeah. They didn't actually mark anywhere. There's nothing unique on here to actually know which version's inside. So it's really kind of like a total guess. So in 1994, this set was sold through QVC, which is really odd. No other video games were sold on the TV like that or through QVC. So it's really unique in that sense, and they did 2,500 Super Nintendo ones and 2,500 Genesis ones.
So which one's worth more, Sega or Nintendo?
The Nintendo version is probably worth a little bit more. Can I take a look at it?
Sure.
All right. Condition-wise, it looks pretty par for the course for these things.
It looks like it's been squashed on the side.
Yeah, it's got a little bit of damage. You can actually see the outline of where the game sits, which is right here. And it does concern me just a little bit because you do see some sort of damage around that area. That's where the real value is. It's the game that's inside. But once this is open, you're looking at maybe $1,000 or $1,500. As is, there's actually more value to not know what's inside.
Okay. So has this been resealed?
I don't see any signs of it having been resealed. I've seen a handful of these, and this is very consistent with how these were sealed.
Okay. So the big question, what is this whole thing worth?
They're pretty rare, but just based on how these have traded historically over the years, I'd say probably around $9,000, $10,000. But if you open it, you can go up or you can go really far down based on what's actually inside.
Well, thanks, Dennis. Appreciate it.
Anytime, Rick.
Thank you.
Take care. Good luck.
So how much you want for it?
I mean, I think he was a little bit light on the valuation. Take a little bit off my 14, but I certainly wouldn't sell it for 9.
I wouldn't even offer you 9. I'd offer you like 7.
I'd go down to 10, but that's really as far as I go.
That's best one to go 7.
Yeah, I understand. I can't do 7 on it, though.
All right. If you change your mind, come back in.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I might not have spidey senses, but I definitely have pawnbroker senses.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, how's it going? I have this amazing comic book I would like for you guys to check out.
Let me see it. Don't you touch that.
Why?
You know what this is?
Spider-Man?
This isn't just like #1 Spider-Man. This is the first time anybody saw Spider-Man.
Oh.
You have one of the like holy grails of comic books.
Yeah.
Where did you get this?
My brother and I, about 20 years ago, we bought a collection of comic books, and this was just in there.
That's amazing. Oh, you're like the guy who buys the Andy Warhol at a garage sale.
Yeah, pretty much. I came to the pawn shop today to sell one of the most amazing comic books that's ever been. I'm gonna ask $16,000. I think if they'll see the potential of this, I mean, everybody knows Spider-Man with all the movies. I think this is a great opportunity for them to get this item.
Well, that's real, man. I'll be blown away because The Amazing Spider-Man was the #1 in the series. This is like the introduction to that. It was kind of like the comic books version of a TV pilot.
Yeah.
You know, they did it, they tested it out, they gave the whole backstory, and I think we all know how well Spider-Man has caught on.
Well, this was a whole new era for comic books.
It's hard to exaggerate how important this thing is. I mean, this is where the entire mega franchise of Spider-Man began. And to collectors, it's practically priceless. I could probably charge people just to look at it.
So do you have any particular amount you're looking for on it?
Yeah, I'd like to sell it for $16,000.
For a comic book?
For this comic book.
You know, it might be worth it. Comic books had their heyday where they were going for obscene amounts of money, and then they dropped. Do you mind if I have a buddy of mine come down and take a look at it? He can give me an idea of what it's worth.
That'd be great.
I mean, to be quite honest with you, I don't even want to be responsible for taking this thing out of the cover. Let me give him a call, and I'll be right back.
That'd be great.
This is one of the most valuable comic books ever, but price tag depends on condition. So I'm gonna need to bring in the big guns to help me out on this one.
Amazing Fantasy 15, man, fantastic. I've seen one in a 9.6 condition go for over $1 million.
That's exactly why I didn't want you to touch it.
So what are your concerns about the book, Corey?
You know, I can tell the difference between a 1 and a 10, but I can't tell the difference between a 4 and a 7.
Yeah. It's apparent we see some chipping here, which is very common with the paper they used back then. It's really tough to duplicate that. Let me just make sure we have all the pages here. This is such a classic page here. High school setting, Peter Parker. He's Midtown High's professional wallflower. So they're kind of poking fun of him. Everything looks intact. Doesn't seem like we're missing any pages. That's great, man.
What do you think?
On a scale of 1 to 10, now I'd put this in the 5 range. Very good to fine condition. Closer to the $6,000 to $7,000 range.
Really? That's way, way less than where I would put it.
Just you got a lot of issues on the cover, and the cover is everything. The $1 Million book, it would have had none of this chipping, no stamp, it had no staining, no binding issues, no creases.
Right on, Johnny. I appreciate it.
All right, cool.
I was really shocked when he said $7,000. A condition of fine would be worth a whole lot more than $7,000.
What's your bottom number on the comic?
I mean, I was saying 16, and I would go 13.
13? I mean, the most I'm gonna pay is 7. I mean, so we've got a huge gap there. I can tell you from my experience, this is the worst time in history to be selling comic books.
I could go 11.
You know, with the condition issues that it has, it's just not there for me.
All right, bottom line, 10,000.
You know, man, I hate to lose the comic over $3,000, but I've got to stick at 7. Sorry, man.
All right.
Appreciate it.
I would love to have the superpower of kind of helping someone see things clearly. I think they would have realized this is worth a whole lot more than $7,000.
Hey, what I have here is a Todd McFarlane original comic book page from Amazing Spider-Man, and so help me, this is as good as it gets.
Awesome.
I came to the pawn shop today to sell my original artwork of Todd McFarlane Spider-Man page. As far as how much this page is worth, I'm going to ask $20K. If you look at the composition, you see you got this diagonal with the Spideys, and it's counterbalanced by the Venom. And then right smack in the middle, you have this really terrific image of Spider-Man.
Todd McFarlane was a really good cartoonist. He did a lot for Spider-Man. Todd McFarlane didn't create Spider-Man, but his series for Marvel in the early 90s totally reinvented it. Hey, it looks authentic. You can tell it's been inked. He's got his little notes on there. And his signature looks pretty good. Do you have any paperwork with it?
Well, in reference to any paperwork, the answer is no. I bought off the man himself at the Dallas Fantasy Fair, and I've had it now for the past 20 years.
I really wish you had just something saying where it came from. So what were you looking to get out of it?
I'm looking for $20K.
That's a lot of Ks.
You know, I don't know where you came up with 20,000 at. I've seen them sell for 3,000, and those come with a lot more than what you're giving me right here. So, I mean, my offer would be around $1,000.
2 or 3 years ago, there was a very similar piece. That page went for $10K, and do I feel that this page is worth double? Well, yeah, I really and truly feel it is.
Unfortunately, what we have here is a piece of art that's going to be worth more to you than it is to anybody else in the world, and I can respect that and I can understand it, but $20K, boss, without a C of A or anything else with it, I'm just going to flat out pass.
Well, nothing ventured, nothing gained. I appreciate your time.
Have a good day, sir.
I stand by what I say for how much the piece is worth. So as far as letting it go for 1,000, that was not on the table.
Hey, so exactly what is this? We know it's Spider-Man, but...
That's a life-size limited edition from Blockbuster.
Okay, I thought my Spidey sense was tingling a little bit.
I'm here at the pawn shop today to sell my limited edition life-size Spider-Man. This was a display used in Blockbuster stores. I picked it up a few years back. I love the fact that it's life-size. It's about 5.5 feet tall, and it's actually a pretty good replica. I was looking to get like $1,500 for it. I've seen a few of them selling for that price.
I think it's super cool. This was the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. It was the first movie that did over $100 million in its opening weekend, and it just turned into a massive franchise. Do you know where it originated or anything like that?
I guess they came out of Blockbuster.
Okay. I mean, you know, they would put this inside a Blockbuster. It's a promotional item. You know, you'd have little kids come in there and they'd see this. You know, let's rent Spider-Man, let's rent Spider-Man. And then they probably sold them or, you know, they gave them away in contests and stuff like that. But we all know what eventually ended up happening at Blockbuster.
Yeah.
In 2000, the CEO of Blockbuster turned down buying Netflix for $50 million. And 20 years later, Blockbuster is bankrupt and Netflix is worth $140 billion.
That was a poor decision.
And it's in relatively decent shape for being almost 20 years old. This rubbery stuff, you can tell that it's getting old.
Yeah, it's been around for a while.
And you said it was a limited edition?
Yes, yeah, number 2780 out of, I think, 4,600.
Okay. I love it when they say 4,600 is a limited edition. Now, how much do you want for this thing?
I was thinking about 1,500.
I bet you would. Okay. I'll give you $500 for it.
500.
It's cool and everything like that, but it's not that limited edition, okay? There's probably a lot of them out there. There's a little bit of damage.
Come on, work with me. Just maybe $600.
550.
575.
550.
All right, I'll do it.
All right, sweet. So just cruise right over there to the pawn counter. We'll do some paperwork. I'll get you paid.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Yep. I'm just your friendly neighborhood pawnbroker.